Hello, friends and family, and strangers, newcomers. Welcome to The Good Place. I'm your host, Kim Tisor. So tell me, who said this line? Well, if you don't have anything good to say, come sit by me. Do you remember that? It was a famous line from the movie Steel Magnolias, spoken by a character, Clarice Belcher, played by Olympia Dukakis. The only reason I recall this, because let's face it, that movie was out a very long time ago, is because I was in my hometown theater group's production of Steel Magnolias. I played Shelby, the lead character. I think that was her name. And I always loved theater. As a matter of fact, this board I'm showing you here hangs in our basement. My mom put this together depicting the different shows I was in when I was younger, and they're Steel Magnolias. Well, I will tell you, there is a lot of drama going on surrounding Church Militant and the departure of Michael Voris as well as Christine Niles. And while I love drama, I don't love the gossip that it is generating. There are plenty of Clarice Belchers out there waiting to get something juicy. Now, mark my word, I'm not above gossip. I have talked to a fair number of people that I used to work with, people that are still affiliated with Church Militant, to see if they know what happened. And what I will tell you is everything I've heard at this point is just hearsay. And so I'm not going to repeat it because then I would just be adding to the rumor mill, and I don't want to do that. After all, this is the good place. And this is where I want to focus on what is good. And so, with that in mind, I want to share some good things that I happen to know personally about my time at Church Militant, specifically working with Michael Voris. Before I do that, though, I do want to mention that while I am curious about what happened at Church Militant, I don't feel that I have any right to know as a former employee what happened. I mean, I'm no one special. If I were a donor, I would feel differently. And I did try to share on a Church Militant chat board because people were asking, well, who are the board members? Are they even Catholic? And I wanted them to know the truth about that. And so I tried to share a well-written article by my former colleague and friend, Kristine Christlieb, about the board, the makeup of the board, how they functioned, how they probably should function moving forward. I did attempt to share that to spread truth, to spread knowledge, information, to help quell rumors. However, that link that I tried to share didn't make it past the moderator, who I'm pretty sure I know who that is. And I wasn't surprised that I wasn't able to share it, but I did try. I'm all about information. And quite frankly, I think our donors are just, I say I'm not at Church Militant anymore. And for those who are just tuning in, who don't know, I did used to work at Church Militant for nearly 2 years, from the summer of 2021 until I was laid off March 31st of this year. And if you're here and you're thinking, what is she even talking about? Because I never talk about Church Militant on here. You might be going, what are you talking about? Well, feel free to look it up. I'm not going to hash it all out for you, or just skip this episode altogether. That would be fine with me. Thank you for stopping by. But the biggest victims, I think, in addition to the good employees who are there still trying to produce something of value, are the donors. They are most hurt by this. And my heart goes out to you. And I will tell you, as someone who, yes, I have a media background, but I also spent many years in public relations, mostly with the Army. And I can tell you that Church Militant handled this whole situation all wrong. But I probably don't need to tell you that. You probably know that yourself, right? I mean, they should have been in front of this story. They should have been proactive, or even reactive, which is not good. But instead, they've been silent, which is the worst stance you can take when there is negative publicity. I honestly was tempted to call up someone at Church Militant and offer to help out, do some work pro bono in public affairs, write news releases, brainstorm with them things that they could do moving forward to rebrand and to refocus. But honestly, there's only so much time in a day. I did start a new job a couple months ago, which I will share with you all at some point, maybe in a future episode. And I am still recovering from radiation treatments that I had that ended in August. I'm also, sorry, I sound so breathless, trying to get over what I hope is just a cold. Um, so, and that's part of the reason I've not been back on here in a couple months is because honestly, I've just been too tired. Because the radiation, while I got through the treatments very well for breast cancer, fatigue is a common side effect. And I think that hit more after I was done with treatment than it did while I was undergoing treatment. So all that to say, I've been pretty quiet on social media. And I was never tempted to come on and trash Church Militant, trash Michael Voris, because I have really fond memories of my time at Church Militant and with Michael Voris. And I know so many things are starting to come to light. And I think truth is always good. And I pray good comes out of all of this. But again, in light of my show being called The Good Place, this is where we focus on things that are good in the midst of life's trials and hardships, which I've had plenty of my own. I really just want to focus on what you may not hear elsewhere, and that is something good regarding Michael. And it's my own personal account, my own personal story, so no one can contradict those. I had some bullet points knowing that I might forget exactly what I wanted to talk about. So let me make sure. Okay, so some good things about Michael that I want to mention. As I know, he's probably hurting and struggling and hopefully seeking the help he needs regarding whatever he's dealing with. Michael Voris, I saw him as a very generous person. He loved to open up his home to people at Church Militant. I mean, he'd have 60, 70 people over, maybe more at one time. And he would cook out, and he would cook for everyone. He loved to cook, grill hamburgers and hot dogs. We did potlucks. We had a birthday bash at his home, which was probably the most fun I've had the entire time I've been in Michigan. And it was all clean, wholesome fun, music and karaoke, singing, dancing. He loved music. As a matter of fact, I started a conga line in his basement. I said, "Come on, Michael, let's go." And I had my hands initially on his hips. I guess that wasn't PC. I noticed everyone else, or about 30 or 40 of us, had hands on the shoulders. I should have known better, but I wasn't thinking at the time, thinking back to when I was a kid. So I kind of moved my hands up to his shoulders. But we all just kind of danced through the basement and had a good time. And Michael, he loves music, as do I. And there were several nights after evening news that he would just crank the music. He had a number of playlists, and we would all just kind of dance and have fun, after a long, stressful day. And it was just good time. And speaking of his home, which he opened up to us, who, now I'm reading into this, I think he saw us as family. His parents are gone. His brother is gone. I don't know if he has any family in the Michigan area. I'm not aware of any. Doesn't mean he doesn't have any. But I think he saw Church Militant as family. And his home was a modest one. It was nice. He had done some things to the backyard in order to entertain people, had extra tables and chairs, and but it was nothing extravagant. He didn't live this lavish lifestyle. His attire was modest and, again, nothing outlandish. He didn't spend a lot of money on clothes and his house and his car. And then I say that because I know donors in particular are worried about how their money has been spent. And I don't blame you. I would be too. And I don't claim to know the answers of how money was spent or if anything was done inappropriately with the behind the scenes. I don't know that. I'm just telling you from my experience of what I saw of how Michael lived his life, that he wasn't spending money like crazy, at least on the surface that I could tell. A personal story that I have to laugh at. Excuse me, one night, right before evening news, and this was, there were several iterations of evening news. It kept changing. And this is when Michael was doing the beat. And right before we went on, he was standing kind of over my shoulder, and he came over and he started like picking at my hair, like a little annoying brother would do, just being absolutely silly. And I took my script, I rolled it up, and I backhanded him as hard as I could. And the cracking sound that it made startled all of us. The guys on set, they kind of looked like, Kim, what did you just do? I was startled. I couldn't believe I hit him that hard. And then when I looked back at him, he had this kind of dejected look, like, how could you do that? And honestly, I didn't even know where I hit because I wasn't looking, I wasn't aiming, but I thought it was his arm or his pec, his chest, which is pretty strong. So I thought surely he didn't hurt that much. But he didn't say anything. I could tell he was a little disappointed. And after evening news, I said, if you want, I'll clean up my desk. I'll clean it out. I'll be gone tomorrow. And he was like, no, and it became like this running joke. And the next day I brought a bunch of chocolate because the man likes chocolate. I brought him chocolates as, this peace offering. And anyway, all that to say, he was kind of like a brother at times. I mean, I sat 10 feet away from him for, a year or so. We did move around some, but, I saw him mostly every day and had lots of interactions with him. There was a time that he decided something, and the way it was communicated, I did not appreciate, I did not agree with, and I confronted him on it. And it took a while to be able to get with him because he's very busy. And I'm like, I want to meet with you about this. And anyway, when I explained my concern, which I won't go into here, and why I was upset, he listened and he apologized, and he gave me his side of the story and why things unfolded the way they did. And and we were good, after that. So I just want to share that because you don't hear those kinds of personal stories, I don't think, about Michael, and you'll hear all kinds of other stories. And I'm not here to say that they're true or not, or because quite frankly, I don't know. And I'm not gonna say I don't care. I mean, I care about truth, and I care about Michael's well-being. I care about people left at Church Militant. And again, I care about you who donated to Church Militant. Sorry, I'm having a problem here with my phone. I don't know what I've done. I will tell you, I could focus on the negative. I mean, like others, and like anyone in any workplace, I've experienced some negativity, things that I could complain about. I could have had an axe to grind when I was laid off because it was 6 weeks after I was diagnosed with a breast cancer recurrence. And so needless to say, the timing wasn't that great. It was on a Friday, and the following Tuesday, I was to have surgery. Also on that Friday, before I was laid off, my husband was rear-ended in an accident, which totaled our vehicle. So we had to get another vehicle. And consequently, my husband and I had lots of medical bills. Here I wasn't working. Bills were piling up. And it's not real easy to go out and get a job, in my case, when A, I had to recover from surgery, but then B, I didn't know what my treatment plan was going to look like, if I needed chemotherapy or not, radiation, how would I feel? How do you go to a potential new employer and say, I really love a job, trust me, I'm a great worker. Now, once you hire me, I may not come in a lot. I might miss a lot. And, part of the time I'm here, I might feel really bad, and you're not going to get the best performance out of me. But one day you'll be thankful you hired me. I couldn't do that. So it put me in a bad position on the surface, how it appeared on the surface. But in hindsight, I was really thankful. Not just hindsight. When I was laid off, there was a part of me that felt relief that I could focus on my health. And that time that I wasn't working while I was healing, it gave me time to reflect. Did I want to stay in media or return to public relations or do something totally different, something that I had been thinking about for a long time? And I'll be honest, there is a lot of age discrimination in media, especially for women. And then where would I work in media? There aren't a lot of opportunities, especially in a big city. And most media outlets, news outlets, are very liberal. I wouldn't fit in real well. So it caused me to go in a different direction professionally. And that's been a really good thing. And so I want to share that for anyone who may be watching who may have gotten laid off recently at Church Militant or before or somewhere else. Maybe you're in a situation, you watching, you've been placed in maybe a similar type situation regarding work and you don't know what you're going to do. And let me tell you, whatever just happened could be the best thing ever to happen to you, because the Lord, he is able to work all things together for good. I really do believe that for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. That's a great Bible verse out of Romans. Is that chapter 8, verse 28, I think, 8:28. So hold on to that. And certainly I could utter some other negative things about people, Church Militant, I'm sure others would love to hear about. But I really don't think it would accomplish anything good. And I just wanted to share this Bible verse if you were tempted to gossip or to slander someone. And this is from Ephesians 4:29. I wish I had my glasses on, but it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." For the donors who feel slighted by this, I know some have said that they actually feel duped by Michael, by Church Militant. I want to say, please don't. I know we are to be good stewards of our money, but if you feel that while you were giving, Church Militant did any good whatsoever in exposing corruption, if you thought that was important to expose corruption in the church, well, Church Militant did that, and they did it with your help. It could not have been done without you. If you feel that it was important to give victims of abuse at the hands of priests a voice, well, you helped do that. If you think that it was important to support the canceled priests, and there were many, your donations, your generosity helped do that. So it did good. And, I'm a big believer in joining God wherever he is at work, with our volunteerism, with our money. And, so find God's laborers and look at where people are producing good fruit and give there. And sometimes the labor, it's for a season. And maybe the season at Church Militant, the season of God being at work there, having his hand on the place and doing good things, maybe it's over. Then again, maybe it's not. Maybe God has a miracle that he plans on performing for those who are left there. Maybe it's going to take a different approach, a different direction, and do good. We don't know. Only God knows that. But please just sleep easy at night, knowing that you gave from your heart, doing what was right, what you thought was right. And I think it should be a lesson to all of us to really know where's our money going and to know who's in charge. And that's something I would want to know going forward with Church Militant. If you're someone watching and you're still giving, certainly that's up to you, but I recommend you call and ask, well, who's the new leadership? Who does that consist of? What direction does Church Militant plan on going in? I would want to know those kinds of things. Obviously, that is up to you. Well, with that, Advent begins tomorrow, and the theme is hope. Oh, I love that word. So let's remain hopeful, remembering that God is loving, he is kind, he is merciful, he is quick to forgive. And no matter what evil man devises or throws our way, God is still on his throne, and we have nothing to worry about. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and you have a blessed week, a blessed Advent, and I'll see you again soon. I won't say when, because it might be another 2 months. I don't know. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you have anything good to say, come sit by me. Bye.